In our last session, we really dug into the paperwork, the line lists, the P&IDs, the piping classes, all the documents that define the what and the why. Well, now we're shifting our focus to the where. And this is a really important transition. We're moving out of that abstract world of data and stepping directly into the physical world of steel and concrete.
You know, a lot of junior designers fall into this trap. They believe that piping layout is just, well, connecting point A to point B with the shortest possible line. I have to be blunt here. If you think that way, you will fail in this industry. It's a complete misunderstanding of what our job actually is.
In a real, complex facility, like a refinery or a chemical plant, the shortest path is almost never the right path. Why? Because that simple straight line might run right through where a crane needs to operate. It could block a critical escape route, or it might be in a location where it's just physically impossible to support. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the real logic of layout. We're going to teach you how to see the plant not just as a bunch of lines, but as a dynamic system of competing priorities that you, the designer, have to manage.
So with that idea of competing priorities in mind, let's get into it. What do we actually mean by layout in the world of an EPC project?
To put it simply, layout is the strategic management of three-dimensional space. That's the whole game. Your job is to take this enormous volume of equipment and piping and fit it all into a very restricted footprint. And you have to do it while making absolutely sure the plant is safe to operate and, just as importantly, that it can actually be built.
The best analogy I've ever heard for this is to think of the plant as a city. The big pipe racks, those are your highways. They're carrying all the major traffic, the big utility headers, the main process transfer lines. The individual units are like the buildings where all the work gets done. And all the unit piping, that's your local street system, connecting everything together. Now, if you just route a pipe randomly, it's like building a road directly through the lobby of a hospital. Sure, you got from one side to the other, but you've completely destroyed the function of the space.
Good layout isn't random. It requires discipline. We route our lines in orthogonal banks. That means running them north-south and east-west at very specific planned elevations. We group lines together so they can share supports, which is much more efficient. We intentionally leave empty corridors of space for future expansion and for maintenance access. You have to remember, you're not just drawing a pipe on a screen, you are reserving physical volume in a very congested cube. Every cubic meter you take up is a cubic meter that can't be used by the electrical team for their cable trays or by the civil team for their structural bracing.
So how do you actually decide where a pipe should go when you have all these constraints? Well, you follow a strict hierarchy of priorities. This isn't optional. When you're stuck on a routing problem, you come back to this order. This is the core logic of our entire profession.
Okay, here it is. Priority 1, safety. This is completely non-negotiable. You simply cannot route a high-pressure steam line at head height across an escape path, period. Number 2, operation. The plant has to work. A pump suction line needs to be short and direct to prevent cavitation, so that takes precedence. 3, maintenance. Can the operator actually get to the valve to turn it? Is there enough space to pull the heat exchanger bundle for cleaning? 4 is flexibility and stress. Pipes expand when they get hot. We often have to add expansion loops, intentionally making a line longer and more complex, just to absorb that thermal growth safely. 5, constructability. Can a welder physically get in there to make the weld? Is there room to bring in a crane to lift that valve? And finally, way down at number 6, is cost. Only after every single one of those other priorities has been satisfied do we even begin to think about saving a few dollars on material.
And let me be perfectly clear, this is not a list of suggestions. This is the rule book. You work your way down from the top every single time for every single line. It's a disciplined engineering process, not an artistic one. Following this order is what separates a professional designer from someone who just knows how to use the software.
So, why are we so incredibly strict about this logic? It's because in our world, layout mistakes don't just go away. They become permanent project problems.
Think about this. In the 3D model, moving a pipe takes, 5 minutes? It's a few clicks of a mouse. But in the field, moving that exact same pipe requires a unit shutdown, a hot work permit, building scaffolding, cutting, rewelding, and retesting. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars per meter. And, the cost of not fixing it can be even higher.
The decisions you make in the design phase will dictate the daily life of the operations team for decades to come. I've seen it myself. Valves placed 15 feet in the air with no platform. You know what happens? Operators just never close them. That's a safety bypass built right into the design by a lazy designer. And if you design what we call a headbanger, a pipe right at forehead level in a walkway, I guarantee you, operators will be cursing your name on every single shift for the next 20 years.
This long-term impact really brings us to the heart of the matter, your ultimate responsibility as a designer. This is something you can't just pass off to another department.
You have to own the space you're working in. Before you even place the first elbow, you need to be looking at the plot plan. Identify the maintenance aisles, find the escape routes, understand the structural bays. And you must constantly ask yourself this one critical question. If I put this pipe here, what am I blocking?
Look, don't fall in love with the auto route button in your software. The software is just a tool. It doesn't know that a forklift needs to drive through that corridor twice a day. The software doesn't understand that an instrument needs a certain amount of straight pipe run to work correctly. You are the intelligence in the loop. The software is just the pencil in your hand.
All right, let's do a quick summary of the fundamental layout logic that we've just covered.
First, remember that piping layout is all about the management of 3D space. Always treat the plant like an organized city with its own system of highways and local streets. Second, you must follow the priority hierarchy, without exception. Safety first, then operation, maintenance, stress, constructability, and dead last, cost. Third, never forget that layout mistakes are permanent operational hazards. A bad design in the model becomes a 30-year headache out in the field. And finally, designer responsibility. This means you have to visualize the human element. Think about the operator and the construction worker before you ever commit that design to the database. So, we've established the rules of the road, but now we need to talk about the destinations. You see, the most critical constraints in any layout are the actual connection points on the equipment itself. So in the next explainer, we're going to dive into equipment-driven layout and see how something as simple as nozzle orientation can dictate the success or failure of your entire routing plan.